Welcome back to Autism at Home, brought to you by us at Early Autism Project Malaysia through our non-profit initiative, the Hope Project. My name is Emma Sajida and it's so nice to see you again. I am here today with Tiffany Loh, one of our senior supervisors at EAP. Welcome to Unit 22 on Autism at Home entitled Preschool Games. We hope you're all geared up to teach and possibly even learn the games chosen for this unit. This fun-packed series will include some of the common games such as red light and green light, musical statues and musical chairs, tag, Simon Says, hide and seek, Duck Goose, pass the parcel, as well as charades.
Before we begin, let's firstly understand the WHY to the importance of preschool games. When children meet, be it in school, at birthday parties, or even on play dates, they typically want to play with each other. They want to talk, share, and do and make things together. Games essentially support socialization with peers. They are great opportunities to generalize social skills such as eye contact, sharing, turn-taking, and listening, and especially flexibility, to name a few. Oh, and they help to burn off excess energy as well.
Now, with games being quite fun for children in general, we need to understand why they can be challenging for our children on the autism spectrum. Firstly, any game could have just too many rules to understand before one can play them successfully and actually enjoy them. Let's look at a simple hide and seek game. First, the child will need to understand whether they are playing as the hider or as the seeker, as each role has its own set of expectations. Then, once their turn ends, they would have to switch roles with the other players. And let's not even forget the occasional social situation of having to deal with peers who just don't want to follow the rules. All this, yes, can be very overwhelming for children with autism.
Then there's possibly distractions. As your child is counting down the numbers before seeking others, they suddenly stop at the sight of the cartoon show playing on TV. Either an adult has to bring them back to counting, or the peers end up hiding for a very long time. Then there are a lot of social nuances or cues, either subtle or obvious, that can be confusing for some of them to understand. Say your child sees a peer hiding, but the peer shows the gesture and points to another peer hiding nearby. Your child understands what the gesture means, but tagging the other friend would go against the rule of the game. But also ignoring the first friend's gesture could impact their relationship.
Now that you have somewhat understood what could be the areas of challenge for your child with autism to learn how to engage in preschool games with others, let's look at the recommendation of standard tips to apply when teaching any of the games covered in this series. Firstly, the 3 key ABE strategies of breaking skills down, pair learning with reinforcement, and providing sufficient practice applies even to teaching games. Then, always use visuals. Lots and lots of necessary visuals. A social story is essential along with a rule card with or without tokens, depending on your child's skill set and areas of needs. For games that have more than one role, it would be best to have a separate rule card for each role to maximize understanding of the expectations.
Video models are a great tool too. When making any of them, we would advise having a minimal background like a plain white wall and show only the exact expectations without any unnecessary add-ons. And again, for some games with more than one role, best to have separate video models for each role. Then when you begin teaching, remember to always break it down by starting with adults first before attempting it with children. Break this down even further by starting with a small number of adults before gradually increasing this. The same should be applied when playing with children.
Let's begin our very first game, red light and green light. This is how this game looks like. In our version of this game, the caller holds 2 cards, one with the red light image and the other with the green light image. The runners are ready on the other end of the room. Then, when the caller shows the red card, the runners freeze in their location and position. But when the caller shows green light, these runners start moving towards the caller, choosing their own pace. They will need to be careful when choosing this, as running too fast will make it difficult for them to freeze comfortably when the red light shows. When any of the runners tap on the collar, he or she wins the round and the next collar can be chosen. The easiest would be for the winner of that round to be the next collar.
Now, let's go over prerequisite skills first. Basic foundational skills are important, which is essentially the ability to cooperate, imitate, and attend or focus. Additionally, skills like receptive and expressive language in particular, recognizing colors, especially red and green, social skills like eye contact, turn-taking, as well as some of the social skills programs like social referencing, gestures, peer play and group play, and of course not to mention the gross motor ability to run. Unit 19 on social skills would be an important series to re-watch if you need a refresher. Now it's time for a pop quiz. You start teaching this game to your child and he makes good progress when he plays with you, dad, and grandparents. His 3-year-old sister joins in when it's time to play with one other child. When this happens, your son cries. Which of the following are the prerequisites to be targeted first with your child before teaching them any of these preschool games? Receptive and expressive language, referencing and circle time, peer play and group play, or tolerance to crowd and sound? Well, seeing that your child is able to learn the skill and understand the expectations, option A is out. In this case, perhaps, you could teach your child to work on engaging in peer play and group play. Once these skills are mastered, then you may begin teaching preschool games.
In red light and green light, a minimum of 2 people are required. It's the game that may just test your child's patience and their ability to just stand still when required, which may be difficult for most children. So let's break it down. Teach one role at a time. We typically teach the player role first and start with one light. The easiest would be green. So when he sees a green card, they run. Then reinforcement comes in before further practices are done.
We typically start teaching this game off the table as the child will need to move when he sees the green light. However, you can consider starting at the table if your child needs the skill to be broken down more. Start with only one adult and with a short distance to move towards the collar. Then gradually increase the demands in the distance first, then starting off the table, before adding more adults in the play than other children, one at a time. The goal here is for your child to learn to be the player in a decent group size and respond to any adult or child being the caller. You can begin generalization of this role in different places, like the nearby park or even the playground.
As your child continues to generalize playing as the player, you can start teaching him the role of the caller. A video model is best used to communicate clear expectations. Start by ensuring your child is able to understand that red means stop and green means go. Once a decent group size is mastered, you can then begin generalization. The entire game can also be generalized in circle time, peer play sessions or play dates, or even during recess time in school.
The instruction could be, let's play red light, green light. The standard mastery criteria could be set as 3 times 100% MT1 with green light first, then 3 times 100% MT2 with red light, 3 times 100% RR rotating both colors before 3 times 100% generalization on that same step. To further increase your child's fluency, when your child is doing a generalization step on a target they are currently working on, you can introduce the next item in a mass trial format at the table first. This way, your child is getting constant practice in their day-to-day life.
Now, materials. Like we mentioned as part of the important tips, visuals and video models are essential. Don't worry, these resources are available for free on our website www.autismathome.co. There is an extension of this game that you can consider teaching your child, which is to add a reverse function by perhaps using a yellow light. So the caller holds 3 cards instead of 2. This could make the game a bit more interesting.
Now, once your child has mastered all the main concepts in this game, you can teach other variations of this game, but with similar rules like A-E-I-O-U or Mr. Wolf. In A-E-I-O-U, the roles are similar, but instead of holding the color cards, the caller starts by facing the wall. Then start reciting the letters A, E, I, O, U. At U, they turn around to face the runners, at which point they would have to remain as still as possible. When the caller says the first 4 letters, the runners should try to get as close as they can to the caller. The trick here is the pace in which the A-E-I-O-U is recited. The longer it takes for them to be recited, the more time the runners have to get close to the caller.
And in Mr. Wolf, there's a bit more language skills involved as a prerequisite. So the caller is now Mr. Wolf. The runners start chanting together asking, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" The wolf will get to decide what time, like it's 5 o'clock or 10 o'clock. The runners just have to keep asking as they make their way closer to the wolf together until the wolf says it's mealtime or any of its variation, like it's time for supper or it's breakfast time. When this happens, the runners would have to try to run far away from the wolf and avoid getting caught. Once caught, they're out of the game.
Now, it's your turn. Check that your child has all the prerequisite skills needed to learn any preschool game. Plan your breakdown to teach red light and green light. Then plan your reinforcements and opportunities for practices at home during the day. Then create a generalization plan involving other adults and children.
Well, there you go. A general introduction to preschool games as well as how to teach red light and green light. In the next lesson, we will be talking all about musical statues and musical chairs. Join us again in the next lesson.
Thank you for your support, and with the amount of interest we have received online, we have actually started providing online services and currently working with clients in other states of Malaysia, Singapore, New Zealand, Philippines, Switzerland, Indonesia, China and Brunei as well. So do scan this QR code and get in touch with us if you want to find out more.
If you haven't already, do check out our free online resource platform, Autism at Home, which has all the corresponding articles and downloadables for you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our Instagram and Facebook pages to stay updated. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.